What's up, guys? In today's video, we're going to go over exactly what it costs to start an Amazon FBA business. We'll go through everything you kind of need to buy to get started. We'll kind of categorize what's mandatory, and then kind of list off what's optional as well. That way you can kind of see at the lowest point of what the business will cost. But also you have the option, if you have a little extra cash, what's optional and what can speed up the process. So this is a super important video to kind of figure out what it really costs to start an Amazon FBA business. That way you can kind of plan accordingly, so you won't want to miss it. Stay tuned. Alright guys, now let's start talking about what it takes to run an Amazon FBA business, right? So just kind of go over the basis of how Amazon FBA works is, you get an Amazon seller account, you potentially get an LLC to kind of protect your personal assets. You need a product, right? So how are you going to find that product? Where are you going to get that product? How is it going to get shipped over to Amazon? And then you got to list that product. You got to start advertising that product. Start, creating photos and the listing, and kind of get that product going. So just kind of with those basics right there, that's kind of how I'm going to take you through all the cost. Obviously I didn't talk about everything there, but we should get through all the basis of what's mandatory, right? What do you absolutely need to start an Amazon FBA business? For the people who are a little more frugal, or potentially they need to save some money just because they don't have much startup cash. The mandatory stuff is the stuff you absolutely need. I'll talk about ways to kind of make sure you're doing the most cost-effective way, any discounts you may use, and the best way to go about that. And then I'll also talk about optional stuff, right? Optional stuff, everybody wants the optional stuff, but at first it may not just be in the budget. It may not be right until you prove the product, prove the business model, prove this is what you want to do. But the optional stuff will be things that will help you kind of speed up the process or take stuff to the next level. Again, stuff I probably never, most stuff I didn't start with, until like 6 to 8 months in anyways. So when you're first learning, this optional stuff's probably not what you want right away until you fully understand how this business works. And then start with the mandatory stuff. In that way you can kind of start cost effectively. You can kind of learn. And then when it's like, oh, that would be really cool to start for my Amazon FBA business, or really cool addition to my Amazon business, or this would really speed up my Amazon FBA business. When you kind of have those thoughts, when you see the optional stuff while kind of working and doing your thing, then those are probably the proper times to add the optional stuff. First starting out, right? So let's go over all the basics of the Amazon business. We'll kind of go step by step. I'll let you know if it's optional, mandatory, my thoughts on it, what I did to my personal experience with it. So the first step is, this is an optional step, but for me, it became mandatory, and that's starting an LLC. So starting an LLC, it's just your typical standard business. You're starting this to protect your personal assets, right? Say, God forbid, you start an Amazon business, you sell a product, someone gets hurt, just weird things happen while doing business. Everything's got a little extra risk when you're starting your own business. So doing the LLC, starting that, if like I said, something happens to some of your customers, or something weird happens, that way, if there's any lawsuits, anything like that, they cannot come after your personal assets, in most cases. So they'll just, say you're sued for, X amount, they can only take whatever your LLC has. So if you have less than X amount, then they can't, come after your house, your car, your personal bank accounts, things like that. They'll just take what's in the LLC, and that's it. So I think that's, to me, again, that's optional, right? You can definitely do this with a personal account, and just kind of do it as a sole proprietor, as a personal, kind of guarantor of that. But to me, protecting my personal assets was mandatory. So I definitely did start an LLC before starting my first Amazon account. So that's something to weigh, right? That's one of those ones that, mandatory or optional, just depending on you. I do mine through the Wyoming registered agents. You can just type that in Google and find that. I think that's $150. Yeah, it's $150 to get started there. They'll set up the whole business for you. Wyoming's just got kind of a lower, fees for tax, franchise taxes, things like that. They also have a really nice thing that I love for Amazon is they protect your full name, so your privacy. So you start an LLC in Wyoming. There's no name attached to that LLC. And when you're doing an Amazon account, right? One of the things you want to do is protect your account. And so this is kind of nice, so no one can do kind of back-end research on your LLC, find your name, and kind of connect dots here and there to kind of find your storefront or anything like that. LLC, $150 to get going. Next, you'll want to start an Amazon seller account, right? This is $40 a month for the professional account. So professional account, just knowing that is kind of like the highest grade of Amazon account. It's $40 a month. So I just went straight for that, but there is another option. It's on the lesser side. I'm not sure what they call it now, but it's just your standard seller account. It's on the lower end. You'll have two of these options when you start your account. You'll know for sure that. But the first option is they'll take $1 of your sales amounts per product you sell. So they'll just take $1 per sale essentially for your products. So if you're selling more than 40 products a month, which I think that should be everybody's goal to kind of make this a real business. So I definitely, if you plan on doing that, just kind of get the professional account. It also gives you the chance to advertise and unlocks a lot more features. So $40 a month, I would say that is mandatory. Going on, right? So you got the Amazon account, you got the LLC. Now what? You're going to want to find a product, right? You find a product to sell. So the next thing you need is a product research tool. The one I use currently that I love is Viral Launch. It's $49 a month for the Chrome extension and the web app. And so that's not too bad, right? $49. What this does, again, this one is mandatory because there's millions and millions and millions of products on Amazon, and you're gonna need the help of software to sort through all the products, all the criterias to kind of get ideas flowing, kind of see estimated sales, how many they're selling a month, what the product cost, things like that. All right, so now you get your product research tool, $49 a month. Say you start doing research. You find a product you like, right? Sorting through these millions and millions of products. You find a product you like. So now you want to start talking to manufacturers, right? This part's free on Alibaba.com, which is super nice. So you can start just emailing and Skyping manufacturers on Alibaba.com or wherever. There's a few other websites you can do this as well. So you find a couple manufacturers, right? You have a product that you want to start. So now you want to get samples. Samples are mandatory, because you need to see the quality of the product. And so samples are around $150, when you start your first product. And that's with at least 2 manufacturers you're getting samples with. So samples usually around $75 a pop. You get 2, that's $150. Is where I get the number from. And you want to get 2 because you want to test different manufacturers, right? You don't, because this process takes a while. You don't want to get one manufacturer's sample, then it comes and you don't like it, then you got to start over. That's weeks, kind of wasted. So you need to check and compare manufacturers. So you get 2 samples, right? Maybe you get the first one, it looks great. You're like, yeah, that's awesome. And then you get the second, you're like, oh, this one's even better. And then it's all relative. So you need to compare manufacturers. So the minimum is at least 2 manufacturers to get samples from. You can do more. I've gotten up to like 4 manufacturers, but again, that's not cost effective, right? So take a little extra time talking to these manufacturers, getting photos from them, things like that. That way you can kind of narrow it down to two to save some money. For the samples, you're not really paying for the product, right? You're paying for the shipping. You're paying for the express shipping, from China. So that's where you get the $75. Because the product could cost $5 to them, but it's $70 to get it shipped over express internationally. So $150 mandatory for samples. Definitely don't skip that step. Very important to test quality for the manufacturers. Next, so you tested the samples, you like it, it's great. So now you want to order the product, right? So when I first get a product that I want to start selling, I usually want to start with like 500 units. That's like a good base amount, because you don't want to start with too few, because if you get any momentum, you're going to sell out and then you're going to lose all that momentum, right? 500 units is kind of that perfect amount of like, you're not buying too much just in case the product flops, but you're not buying too many. That way, you can kind of keep momentum going while you get the next order going if needed. So about 500 units is a great place to start. Now, for the price range you kind of want to start from is like $20 to $30, the price point for your product. And so usually you can get these, if you get the right margins that you should be looking for, about 30 to 40%. You should be getting the product around $3 or so. So $3 per product, from the manufacturer. Then you're getting 500 of those units. So it's about $1,500, for your first product. So that's for 500 units, $1,500. Obviously mandatory. You need a product to sell on Amazon to actually sell on Amazon. So that one is mandatory. Now, you buy the product, it has to be shipped over. We go into the next step, right? So you need shipping, right? You can get a freight forwarder, you can use your manufacturer, you can use DHL Express, depending on if your item's heavy, small, light, they'll all range. There'll be a cost-effective option you want to choose there, depending on the, like I said, the size, weight, and kind of the volume of the item. And so usually for the first one, you can, $500 is what you can expect for this item for shipping. Whether that's you got to wait a little longer for sea shipping, 30 days, or if it's on the lighter side, hopefully you can do DHL Express or do standard air freight, which is 7 to 10 days for lead time there. So talk to some freight forwarders, get their pricing. Also get your pricing for your manufacturer. Compare these two to get the lowest cost possible. The cool thing about the freight forwarders, they'll help you with the bonds, the tariffs, the things like that, because it's so confusing. You can spend hours and hours and hours of research doing it, and you're just going to get more lost and lost. So definitely something you want to outsource and get help with, and that way they can kind of take care of it for you. So that's $500 for shipping, mandatory, and then with the help of the manufacturer or the freight forwarder, that will include your tariffs, and then which is another word for that, tariffs is duty fees, which is based on an HS code, which don't worry about that right now, and then that will take care of the bonds too. You need bonds to ship things overseas. So shipping $500, product at $1,500, that's $2,000 to get it landed here. So that's that's gonna be the bulk of your cost, guys, is that $2,000 for your first product. Now there's ways to minimize that cost too if you need to, but I think if you want to be a real private label seller, this is what you need to start with. 500 units, about 3 a pop, and get going there. So if that $2,000 sounds like too much, maybe this business isn't right for you, and that's there's certain businesses that are right for some people and not for others, but that's about where I started too, is about $2,000 for my first product. So no way around that. Mandatory, you need a product to sell, so definitely get a product. And then the next step, so say you got the product, you order it, and then you need an inspection, right? So you want to test the quality of this product from your manufacturer. So usually the terms, right? So I usually pay 30% down to my manufacturer to start the manufacturing of my product. Now, after the product's done, I will have an inspection company in China go to that factory, inspect the goods, take videos, take photos, make a full report, and test the products out and send it back to me before I pay that final 70% to the manufacturer to make sure, there's no defective products or not a ton of defective products. There's no issues that would cause, hiccups for Amazon. Everything, is within, the right field and it's within the standards that I want. So inspection companies are actually very, very cheap in China. It's $100. $100, you can get your inspection. They'll send a video, they'll send pictures, they'll get you a full report. They'll test everything you want them to test, right? You'll send them a PDF through email saying, I want you to test this, test this, test this, test this. And they're also familiar with the way Amazon works. So they'll do like master carton drops where they'll test the product in the boxes to make sure that the cartons are protecting the product. They'll do make sure your barcodes are scannable, everything you need, right? And so this is a very, very cheap way to minimize risk as well. So I think inspection is mandatory. Now, I didn't do this for my first 3 products. And guess what? My first 3 products failed. They got into Amazon, they got bad reviews. The second shipment for my second product, they all came broken. So this inspection, $100 would have saved me thousands and thousands. So I believe the inspection is mandatory, and it's only $100. So I definitely do that. It's such a great deal for what it protects you from. So get the inspection. Now, if you got the inspection, the product looks good. Okay, so during the manufacturing process, they are going to want product packaging, right? If you have any custom packaging, this is optional too. You can definitely just get their standard packaging and get a logo for like $10, $15 from Fiverr or Upwork.com. But so mandatory is say $10 to get your logo and just stick it on their standard packaging. If you get custom packaging, that's going to cost you not very much more. So this is optional. It's about $100, right? You can go on Upwork.com, make a job, and ask for someone who's going to design packaging for you and get you the full .ai file of that product packaging, and they'll design the logo for you, and they'll design the whole packaging for you. And I've done that many, many times for under $100. So it's not that much. So Upwork.com to do that. You can use Fiverr if you just do the logo. So you have a mandatory option because you definitely need the minimum, and you have an optional option that just costs a little more. But if you want the nicer packaging, if you're selling a premium product, this may be mandatory for you. But if you're just selling something you're kind of just testing out, definitely just start with the minimum packaging. So also in that packaging, what needs to go in there is a barcode, right? So to make a listing on Amazon, you're going to need a UPC code to register that product on there. So you can do this on GS1, and that's a little more expensive, right? Or you can do this on Nationwide barcode as well. So I used GS1 because I thought that's where Amazon was heading. They wanted it all. So that cost $150 on GS1 barcodes. Now that's the premium one. That's the one that you're going to be safe with. It's nationally and worldwide registered. But the cheaper option, so GS1 is optional. There's a little risk going to Nationwide barcodes, but it's at least mandatory to have a UPC. And Nationwide barcodes is only $15 for one barcode. So definitely your cheaper option is Nationwide barcodes. To this day, Amazon is still accepting Nationwide barcodes. So definitely I would go to that route. Definitely do some research on your own to figure out what they're taking at that time. Obviously $150 for a barcode when you can get it for $15. Definitely do the cheaper option and save some money there. But GS1, if you want to do things clean and do things kind of on the higher end, GS1 is optional for that. That's what we use. I'm not saying it was the right decision. We just thought that Amazon was really going in that direction. And so, we paid extra for barcodes essentially. So once you get the barcode, you can go into Amazon, and once you register that product, you can grab an FN SKU or an ASIN barcode, which is just Amazon's UPC to kind of organize their products. That will go on the product packaging. So that's why it's necessary. So you can just give that to your designer, or you just give it to your manufacturer if you have the standard packaging, and they can put that on there for you. Easy to do. So you got the product packaging now. You got the barcode on there. Next step that's mandatory is product photography, right? So you get the product over here. You want to start selling. Amazon requires a couple things for the listings, especially if you want to do well, is product photos and product listing. Write your own listing at first. Learn how to do this. It will save you a lot of money, and it will teach you a lot of things about Amazon and how Amazon keywords work. But the product photography is something that definitely we weren't professionals at, and that we thought were very, very important, right? You want professional photos to get customers in, right? If they see sketchy photos, they're gonna be weary. So you want really good photos. Now, what we did at first to save money, because product photography can get really expensive fast, is we hired a local guy in our city on Craigslist to do some lifestyles for us, and then averages around $50 a photo. Now you need about 7 photos on your Amazon listing. Some categories allow more, but it's usually 7, and you want to max these things out. So at 7, at $50 pop, it's going to cost you $350 to do product photography. Now that is going to be your minimum, right? That's mandatory. The optional route would be going to somewhere like Viral Launch Photography, and I think the minimum package is around $600, up to around $1,500. Again, optional, but those are going to be your higher grade Amazon specific lifestyle photos. So definitely take a look into that if the budget's there. If not, get a local guy. Maybe if you're having troubles finding a Craigslist guy or a local guy in general, again, just go to Upwork.com, make a listing, and you can ship the product to the guy wherever he is, and he can take photos for you. Again, that you can find people around for $50 a photo there as well. So definitely some cheaper options, cheaper routes there. To again, just make sure that the photos are at least done professionally, at least on the minimum level. That way, customers are not weary. They don't see crappy photos on your listing, so you can actually make sales and have a real chance of succeeding on Amazon. So mandatory $350 for product photos. So definitely do that. So now you got product photos. You wrote your own listing. The product is in Amazon. You want to start selling. So the next step, definitely, I think mandatory to at least try, because you need to, you throw a product on Amazon. You're initially not going to have a lot of traction, right? You're going to be on the bottom of pages. Customers aren't going to be finding you right away because you're new. So you need to do some sort of advertising. And the best way to start advertising, to avoid costly Facebook ads and costly other routes, is using Amazon's PPC, pay-per-click advertising, on the Seller Central account. Now, to do initial testing, I believe you should at least spend, or prepare to spend, about $200 on PPC, testing what keywords work, and what direction you should go for your advertising. So I think that's mandatory, is $200. Unless you have some other source of traffic and advertising, this will be mandatory for you to spend $200 to test out different keywords and advertising campaigns on Amazon's PPC system. So $200 for advertising to get some initial traction, initial sales, initial velocity, and to kind of move forward with your product. After that, you kind of have to make an educated decision of what you want to spend, if you want to spend, depending on where your product is at, to move forward. So $200 at least minimum to start your product on Amazon PPC. Now, definitely a few things I highly recommend, again, optional, but for $60, Amazon has got a program called the Early Reviewer Program. This helps you get your initial reviews on Amazon. They'll actually send out emails to your customers, and that way you can get your first reviews from your first sales, just because reviews are so tough nowadays. So definitely register in that. That's optional, but to me it's very, very, very worth it, because 5 reviews, over, it takes about a month or 2 for Amazon to email these customers, but totally worth it. 5 reviews for $60, so worth it in my books. So definitely just optional, but in my opinion, definitely look into that for sure. The next thing is an email autoresponder. What that is there's softwares that hook up to Amazon, your seller account, and you can automatically send emails to customers who bought your product to ask them how they like it, what else could they do better, or what else you could do better to fix the product. And it kind of opens up a dialogue. And then also, if you know that no one's complaining at first, you'll send them a first email, make sure everything looks okay for them. The second email, third email, you can ask for an honest review. Amazon allows this. As long as you're not paying them for reviews or incentivizing reviews, you're fine. So you can actually ask them for reviews. Again, optional, but I think it's super helpful to kind of open that communication with your buyers and your customers in any form you can, especially on Amazon, because it's really hard to do that. And that's only $30 a month. So to me, mandatory, but again, optional because it's not totally necessary. But $30 a month to get an email autoresponder and open dialogues with your customers. So definitely look into that. Now the next thing is, if you this is be optional as well. If you want to get, after PPC or during PPC, you want to get some more boosts, some more review opportunities, and get some ranking going. A lot of people do giveaways now. Now, to do your first initial test of giveaways, it's going to cost you, at your price point $3 per unit, it's going to cost you about $300 or so, with the cost of giving away the product, and then the Amazon fees on top of any other fees, depending on where you do the giveaway. It's going to be about $300 or so for about 50 units gone. And now what product giveaways do, if you're not familiar, is you can kind of boost up your sales ranking. You can kind of you communicate with these customers to make sure they like your product, what they think about the product, and so it kind of gives you a nice boost, and you can kind of rank up for some things and kind of learn about how Amazon's algorithm works a little bit more. Again, optional, but that'll be $300 to get going there. That's something to think about. And then the next thing, we've covered everything that's mandatory, right? Everything to get started that's mandatory. Now, the next thing is optional, but in my opinion, speeds up the process more than anything to kind of learn things step by step, and that's an Amazon FBA course, like an online course. We can watch videos, things like that. Now, these usually cost about $1,000 to $2,000. Now, $1,000 is a good price to pay for one, but again, it depends on the person teaching the course, right? So optional can speed up the process. Don't pay $5,000 for an Amazon course. That's way too much for the knowledge that's all out there. Pay between $1,000, $2,000. Make sure before you buy one, because you could buy a $1,000 course and it's terrible because it's from this guy. Buy a $1,000 course and it's great because it's from this guy. So make sure you do some research on the people if you're gonna buy a course, do some research on the people selling these courses, right? And their YouTube videos, their Facebook groups, wherever they're at. Do they sound genuine? Do they care about money, cars, girls? Or, is that what they're talking about? Or are they talking about how to make you successful on Amazon, what you should look for, their stories, and seem genuine to really help you out in your business. So definitely those are the two things to kind of look out for. If they're genuine and they seems like they really, really care about success for others, then their course is probably going to be pretty good. But if they care about cars and money and things like that, then their course is not going to be geared so much to your success, but more about selling it for themselves selfishly. So something to take into account, $1,000 for an Amazon course if you want to speed up the process. I did this about 6 to 8 months into my Amazon journey, and it definitely did help speed up the process because I just saw everything in order, in organized fashion. I learned a ton of things because I got to watch his screen. So definitely something to look into. But that is pretty much everything, guys. So that's not cheap, guys. This business, takes a little cash to get going. So definitely, weigh that. Make sure this is the right option for you to get going. Especially in the private label field. But the private label field is definitely the most gives you the most opportunity for margins and kind of building your own brand. Get going, guys. Not for everybody, but now you know what to expect, right? So that's very important to make the best option for you is to know what to expect. Kind of, you have the numbers now. Definitely mandatory. Saves you a pretty penny at first. Definitely recommend starting on that side first until you get like 6 to 8 months in, and then kind of figuring out, what things next make sense for you, right? Doing one at a time of the optional things. So hope that helps you guys kind of figure out what options are best for you. To save some money I do have a viral launch discount code. It's 15% off lifetime for all their software. It's in my group. Also have some other discounts in there too. Again, you can use I use Viral Launch personally, but there's Jungle Scout Helium 10, so no pressure to use the software I use. It's just what I use, and I just from working with them, I got a discount code for some of my students. Otherwise, make the right decision for you guys. Weigh your options. Start on the smaller side, right? Build yourself up. Hopefully this was super helpful for you guys. Do me a favor in the comments so I understand like this video is helpful. If this makes sense to you, just say in the YouTube comments, this makes sense. That will tell me so much about how I'm doing on these videos. So that's super helpful, and I'd appreciate that very much, guys. And then also, if you want more information from me, you want more YouTube videos, please subscribe and hit that little notifications button next to the subscribe button. They mean the world to me, and you can keep following kind of what I'm putting out to make sure you're setting yourself up to succeed as best as possible. And I'll just keep putting out more and more content, trying to help you guys kind of succeed on your journey too. So hope you guys got a lot from this, and I'll see you guys on the next one. Thanks a lot.